And here we go.
Flawless victory.
What's happening? Welcome to another episode of Over at That Day podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope this dim lighting is not too annoying. There's a perfectly good reason behind it. Our first sunny day in Ireland today since I returned in October, and I managed to get severely sunburned. I don't know how much of that you can see, hopefully fuck all of it. But basically, I'm normally a pretty red person. But on a scale to 1 to red, I'm taking the fucking piss today. So last week you saw me in a sling, unable to move my neck. That's fine. Today I can't move my neck because I'm sunburned. So immediately after this podcast, I'm going to head out to a big field and have somebody shoot me. Just put me down. Better off. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, welcome to the podcast, folks. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all enjoying the weather. If you're on this side of the pond or planet, or if you're elsewhere, you probably get reasonable weather anyway, so stop being so fucking greedy. So today we're going to talk about some MMA. This is an MMA episode or an MMA segment or whatever you want to call it. Today it's just been me working all the mechanics and stuff like that, so in case you're wondering where Gabby might be, she's locked in my basement. Anyway, yeah, it's an MMA episode. So as always, guys, appreciate you supporting us and all that other kiss-ass stuff. I am on fire at the moment. I don't know if you can tell. I need to be dipped in a fucking ice bath. I'm definitely 100% Irish. For the love of fucking Christ. So one day we've had a bit of sun. I'm not complaining, it's so great to see it. But I am on fire. Let's hope this podcast is on fire. So I'm going to talk about some MMA shit. So let's get into it. Last week was UFC 276. Looking at the record by itself, take the fighter out of it. Then, his last four, again, including Jan Blachowicz, have been unanimous decisions, but before that, he's having performance of the night, fight of the night. You don't get those unless it's been an entertaining fight. So yeah, all this bitching and moaning about, he's boring. There's an awful disease creeping into the fandom of MMA. Horrible disease where people are, it's a case of, you're only as good as your last fight. People are quickly forgetting how good these fighters are. The same happened with Anderson Silva. The same happened with George St. Pierre. And now everyone loves to go, they're the best ever, these are the GOATs. But yet they were called boring at the time. But it's just gotten far worse now. Because of course, the internet and all that. And listen, anyone with half a brain that watches MMA knows Adesanya's not a boring fighter. I watched some other podcasts and they're sharing the same opinion I have, but it's just irritating to see people who are supposed to be fans of the sport, calling it boring. I don't get it. How do you find it boring? And what's really stupid about it, this is aiming towards the American fans in particular, because the UFC gets most of its eyes in America. I don't know if that's a fact. I'm just saying that they aim for the fans in America. That's why a lot of their big events are in America. That's where they gather most of their eyes, I believe. But the point I'm making is Muay Thai boxing. They cannot break the market in America. They've tried for years. They cannot seem to get a hold of the market over there. They can't seem to get eyes on the sport over there. Yet fans want to complain and bitch and moan about how, this is boring, he's boring, he's fighting to decisions, he grapples, whatever they want to talk about. They've said this about so many fighters. Khabib was boring as well. They just want to, anytime you see it at an event which boils my fucking blood, I've been at them in person, where as soon as it goes to the ground, if it's there for 30 seconds, fans must start going boo. It's a disgusting way to be a fan at a sport. That's just my opinion. I think it's horrible. If you're there to watch it, fucking know what you're watching. And again, back to the point I'm making about Muay Thai. Muay Thai, you're known for being in the pocket and trading blows. That's the sport is. And that's not a disrespect on Muay Thai. I love the sport. I've trained it in the past. Up to recently, it's a great sport, but it is more standing in the pocket and trading blows, including elbows and knees. but yet that sport can't kick off. So it doesn't really make any sense. So the point being that these fans, if MMA is not for them, they want to do without the grappling, all striking. You've got boxing, you've got fucking Muay Thai, go and watch that. Instead of bitching and moaning about what you're watching, which is one of the best strikers to ever step into the sport, ever, in any sport. But it's boring. Started off straight from the top. There is an awful lot of shit talk. I'm actually not going to sugarcoat it. An awful lot of shit talk on the main event and on Adesanya, in particular Israel Adesanya. People are giving out left, right and centre how he's become a boring fighter. He's become, what I see, I've seen this a couple of times, the hashtag decision bender instead of style bender, so yeah, good one. The other one was actually isn't bad. It's rather than Izzy, it's like Izzy with 4 Z's. So that's actually quite funny. But I'm not understanding it. My mind is actually quite blown. I know I do a lot of giving out on similar things like this in terms of, I always say like if the sport is too boring for them, go watch something else. So I am going to say that today as well. But how in your right mind you can find someone like Adesanya boring, I don't understand. If you're a casual, albeit, which a lot of people are saying that they definitely are casuals, I don't give a shit. You can't watch someone like him and think it's boring. I don't get it. I can't figure it out. It doesn't make any sense to me. That fight itself, I didn't even find that boring. I rewatched it. Was it the most exciting fight in the world? No, of course not. But no, you can't be going around calling him a boring fighter. The man he's defended his belt. I'm just looking at his record. Sorry, if you see me looking over at the laptop here beside me, so I'm not trying to get a good angle on my face or anything, which I don't have. And this side, again, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I'm fairly sunburned here as well. That's not just my usual red complexion. And the other side is, DC said it best, now I'm going to misquote him here slightly, but he said something in the sense of if your opponent is going to coast to a loss, then it's not up to you to go and, give him opportunities to win or to get a chance. He didn't say it in that way, but you'll find it on DC's fucking Instagram, or I'll put it up here on his social medias. But he said it best, and the point he was making is, like, Adesanya is the champ, but it's up to you to put pressure. Like, if people know what Adesanya does, if you give him the time and space, he's going to pick you apart for 5 rounds. He's smart. He's calculated with the way he strikes. He's not going to take big risks. That's how he fights. Cannonier knew that going in. So if he's not going to bring the fight to Adesanya, then Adesanya's not going to take any risk. That's what a smart fighter does. That's what guys like GSP did. That's what Anderson Silva did. But we saw it when Kelvin Gastelum brought it to Adesanya. Adesanya was willing to trade. He had no problem. He went into a war. Going into the 4th or 5th round, he stood up at in his corner, basically saying to Gastelum, I'm willing to die for this. I mean, he was picked up by the mic and the camera saying this. How the fuck is that not entertaining? Insert Russell Crowe. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
My problem is I read too many of the comments anyway, but I just like to, I suppose, see how dumb people are, so I don't feel so stupid. But reading through the comments, and a lot of the comments were like, walking out to the Undertaker song, then puts on a performance like that. And what is your fucking point? What other fighter, like whether you like it or not, even myself included, I was kind of sitting there going, oh, what's he going to do now? What's his walkout going to be? Not many other fighters are doing that. That's entertaining. That is entertainment. And he is doing that all the while stringing together title defenses against the best in the division. And also, in the meantime, he has gone up to another weight class, albeit he lost the Blachowicz, but he dared to be great. And he would probably do that again, because he's cleaning out the division. So again, I just don't get it. It drives me nuts why that's so boring. And then you have Sean O'Malley, who's one of the biggest stars in the sport. Again, I'm a fan of, but I'm going to criticise him a lot. Respectfully, I'm just getting to a point measuring him up against someone else. I had picked Munoz to win that fight. And I'm being honest, I know people are going to disagree with this, I still feel like he may have won that fight. I know he was kind of losing slightly, he was getting picked off by Sean O'Malley, but I believe at some point he was going to bring the fight to O'Malley. And that's why I was really excited about that fight. He was going to bring the fight to O'Malley, you know, throwing leg kicks and stuff like that. Now, O'Malley was checking them quite well, but we know how success, oh my God, I can't say that word.
Today, Junior?
How at risk he is of the leg kicks. And that would have wore on him eventually, I believe. Yeah, and the point I'm making is loads of people were giving Pedro Munoz abuse. Again, another thing I was reading online. You know, how, you were faking being hurt because you knew you were losing that fight. Now, how fucking nuts do you have to be? And a lot of people that are saying that there's no way you're fully paying attention to the sport, because you watch these guys go through fight camp, and any guys that are out there who have fought will know what I'm talking about, in the sense of going through a fight camp is one of the toughest things for a lot of these guys. It is one of they're sparring, they're heavy training. That is the tough part. You know, the restricting your diet, not being able to see family, all of that is the hard part. And then getting up to fight night, you're telling me that Munoz decided after one round he's going to pretend he got poked in the eye. How dumb is that? You know, have fighters ever done that? Possibly. I'd imagine it's a very, very low percentage, if any at all. You know, in the UFC standard, in the top of the game, there's no fighters that are doing that. Yeah, that's why morons out there. Oh yeah, and they're kissing Sean O'Malley's ass again. He is a star in the sport, but yeah, I'm going around about way of getting to this point here. But what I'm trying to say is, you're looking for a superstar in the sport. Adesanya is the superstar in the UFC at the moment, in MMA, in fight sports in general. Now, some people don't like him. Okay, that's your opinion. He has that thing about him where some people won't like him, but you know, everyone is trying to drag on, you know, the Conor McGregor thing. Conor McGregor is done, and this is coming from an Irish guy who I'm a big fan. There's a lot of Irish people who don't like him. I like McGregor. I like what he's done to the sport. You know, albeit his attitude can piss people off, but nevertheless, he's done. McGregor's done. He's not going to make a run at any title. There's no title there from all the divisions that he has competed in. They've gone past him. He's not going to win a title. He's not beating Charles Oliveira. He's not getting out of one round with Kamaru Usman, and he's not getting down to featherweight. Maybe he'll fight Nate Diaz. That I'll watch. That's a good fight for him. There isn't really many other good fights. Possibly a Michael Chandler, but I don't like that fight for him either. Point I'm making, that superstar's gone. His time has passed. The sport has gone past him. He's made his money. Most likely he's going to probably fight Floyd next. Mayweather. My opinion, that's a guess. So what I'm saying is, in terms of superstars coming up in this sport, you have guys I pick out anyway. Diaz brothers are done. They're gone. You know, they're coming to the end of it. Cowboy Cerrone has retired. I'm not saying he's up on the Conor McGregor level, but anyway. You have Sean O'Malley, you have Israel Adesanya, and you have Paddy Pimblett. Okay, out of those three, and I'm talking superstars, you know, guys who are that can kind of get to that Conor McGregor level or thereabouts. No one's ever really going to hit that level. But if you look at all three of them, Sean O'Malley has a loss in him. Again, he's already lost to Marlon Chito Vera. You know, Paddy Pimblett even more so has a loss in him. It's coming for both of those guys. Adesanya, I don't see someone beating him in the middleweight division. I know he's got Pereira next, which is a fun prospect. I would say that is a fun fight. Pereira sent a massive message against Sean Strickland at the weekend. I mean, God, what a beautiful finish. Just that little check, if you want to call it a check hook or a lead hook. God, it was beautiful. It was he sent such a big message. He's a big dude, so that makes for a fun fight, don't get me wrong. I still think Adesanya beats him, but point I'm making, fans are clinging on so much to a Conor McGregor that's gone, rather than trying to support a superstar that's in the sport now. You know, Adesanya is fun. He's entertaining. He says what he wants. He comes out. He speaks his mind. He's entertaining. He does the walkouts, albeit sometimes it might be cringy to some people. I think they're pretty cool because you're not sure what you're going to expect. You're not sure what to expect. Sorry, it's more. But yeah, it's very frustrating, very annoying because we're spoiled as fans of fight sports in general. Like for instance, I always say I'm not a big fan of boxing, which I amn't, but
Most people don't know shit about boxing. Right?
even if I was, I don't know how much I could keep up with it. As it is, I struggle to stay on top of just the UFC stuff. I try and keep my eyes on, PFL, Bellator, all that. It's so hard to track it all, and even Cage Warriors, all these things. It's hard to stay on top of it. So the point I'm making is we are spoiled as fans. That doesn't give you a reason to go bitching and moaning about I'm bored. You fucking, because you have everything access to you have fat fingers now, sitting around doing nothing. All you want to do is complain. Instead of complaining, give some encouragement to some of these guys that are out there. I know people are saying, oh, Adesanya can't take criticism. He shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to. He's every right to bite back. And the other thing I wanted to get to, just as I was already getting pissed off about this whole thing, and I wasn't going to talk about it on the podcast, and then I saw, Chris Pratt had something to say. Now, before I go on this little bit of a rant, I'm a fan of Chris Pratt. I think he's a good actor. He's had some good movies. He seems like a fucking nice guy. Actually, I've heard he is supposed to be a nice guy. But he came out with his opinion on Israel Adesanya, of course. No, he has since apologised, but I don't know, I think he said this in an interview. We started off with, I'm going to say this as humbly as I can. I've never stepped into the octagon. I don't know this game. I'm just an actor. But I'm not a fan, man. I'm not a fan of coming out like all that talk and then just kind of putting on a little bit of a pitter-patter performance. I'm like, come on, man. You got to cash in the promise of being so badass. This is him talking about Adesanya. This is the same guy who works in an industry where you're not allowed to say anything in case you get cancelled. But yet he has such a big opinion on a guy who's in something he has nothing about. Something he knows nothing about. It drives me fucking nuts now. As I said, he has since apologised. But, he's coming out calling it boring, and he's about to release, or he has released, another version of Jurassic Park. As I said in one of the things I shared, Jurassic Park, it's about dinosaurs, believe it or not, because they've released 16 before this one. Have a little bit more respect. Because who knows, someday one of these guys might pull you on it. You never know. As Mike Tyson once said, I believe Mike Tyson said, too many of you are comfortable with, what did he say? So many people are too comfortable with talking online and not getting punched in the face for it, something like that. Anyway, Mike Tyson might come see me for fucking up that quote. One more thing I want to talk about before I let you fuckers go, because this one has run on, but the MMA segment is supposed to be shorter, so my apologies for it running on so long. But listen, keep watching, hit subscribe, we love you. One more thing was Donald Cowboy Cerrone retired. I won't lie, I was slightly emotional watching this, because you gotta love Cerrone. I mean, again, or maybe you don't, maybe all you guys hate him, because, anyway, but yeah, how can you not love him? He's done so much with the sport, always entertaining. Just seems like a fucking, he's one of those guys that you feel like you want to have a drink with. A lot of fun. Great to see him retire. He's been on a big skid as of late. I'm not going to spend too long now looking at the bad things, but I mean, brought it up because a legend of the sport. I love Donald Cerrone, and I'm glad to see him retire. It was very honest the way he gave his interview afterwards, where he said he fell out of love with the sport. He said, I just don't love it anymore, which I thought that was really good. I thought it was really good that he said that, because it's the truth. As a huge fan of the sport, I wish the man all the best, and hopefully he goes on to do big things in movies and whatever else he does. And he's got the BMF ranch where he trains guys and stuff like that. So yeah, I wish him all the best, and thanks for the fucking memories. Trying to think about my favourite memory is of Cerrone. There's a few of them. Like, there was one that always stick out for me, because one of my favourite is when he fought Alex Fernandez, because this is when in 2019, so it's not that long ago, and he was kind of already coming to the twilight of his career, I suppose. And Hernandez had a lot to say, a lot to say in the build up to the fight. He called him a geriatric something. I insulted the shit out of him in the build up to it anyway. And it pissed Cowboy off, you could tell. And he showed it in the fight. TKO, fight of the night and performance of the night with that finish. And it was a head kick that started off the finish because I remember it well. In 2019, it was the Cejudo versus Dillashaw fight card. January the 19th, 2019. That's one of my biggest memories because it was kind of like he still showed, don't fucking poke the bear to Alex Hernandez. I suppose another one for me would be early in his career. I can't remember who he fought in this one, but I'm going to just go back and see. Yeah, I believe it was the Patrick Cote fight. If I'm not wrong, Cote was on his back. He wanted to bring Cerrone into his guard, and Cerrone stood up. And funny, this is something I wish fighters would do more often. We'll say Cote had, was on his back with his legs up, obviously, prepared to take Cerrone into his guard. And Cerrone just started winding leg kicks into him, like digging them really hard into him. And it's something you don't see fighters do a lot of anymore, which I think they should. But I believe there was a story behind that where Cote might have disrespected Cowboy or someone that he knew, something like that. Because I remember, if I'm not wrong, I remember the commentators at the time saying something like, that's Cerrone sending a message or something like that anyway. But of course there's that, and then in the following fight he had that combination against Rick Story. A lot of memories with Donald Cerrone, he's such a fun character. And wish him all the best in his retirement. And yeah, what an absolute fucking legend. So I guess the takeaway of this is, a lot of these guys, the careers aren't long, so just enjoy the fights. Enjoy them instead of, you could be critics. I critique a lot of fighters here, but just do it respectfully. We don't need to be total fucking assholes about it. Calling fighters quitters and things like that, Unless it's blatant, I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. So yeah, the message to take away from the sport is just be kind, you fucks, and wear sunscreen. So yeah, please subscribe, guys, share the video. Don't ever be afraid to send us some messages, if there's any suggestions you might have. We're always willing to talk to people, always willing to listen to whatever the fuck you gotta say. You just spent 35 minutes listening to me, or thereabouts, so we listen to some of your stuff as well. Anyway, that's enough, guys. Appreciate it. Go grab that day. Wear sunscreen. Good luck.